Welcome to Shifting Impressions, conversations with the realm of beings, with me, Gretta Chamberlain, and the realm of beings. Shifting Impressions, which is one of the vehicles that supports the transmission of the realm of beings, is here to assist you in delving into your being by providing numerous topics and discussions for you to intake as you deepen your connection with your inner world. Shifting Impressions is here to assist you in strengthening yourself as you excavate to understand your true nature. Join us today and learn to shift your mindset, shift your thoughts, and shift your focus to recreate your life and produce a new you. Shifting Impressions starts now.
Well, good afternoon, good evening, and it may even be good night, depending on where you are. But welcome to Shifting Impressions. I'm opening up the show today live and in living color because Carol is a little bit under the surgical knife, but she's doing well. So welcome. It is Friday, March the 14th, 2025. And I think you already know how the program goes. We get a quote from the realm, and then we discuss the quote first, and then the realm chimes in. Now, I've learned that there are many personalities, so I don't know which of them is going to show up. I'm hoping it's the happy one and not the stern one. But in any event, we'll see. But this quote is very interesting. It's called Looking for a Mate. And I didn't see that until it was sent this morning, and I found it particularly interesting. So, pardon me while I put on my specs. And the quote is: before searching for a mate, look inside yourself to see who you are. Next, determine what type of person would be the best fit for you. The connection is by frequency, so the energy is helping you to locate the person that you wish to experience. And it does have a description. It says that happen chance does not exist in searching and finding a mate for yourself. There's a great deal involved in this process. Join our podcast today to learn various methods that can be used to attract the mate you have always wanted in your life. Boy, I sure wish, Greta, we had this quote before we ended last week, because this one is going to have an awful lot of click, 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 because there are a lot of people out there that are looking for a mate, wanting to get rid of one they already have, to find another one. And I think it's just going to be a very interesting conversation. So welcome, welcome, welcome. We shall be in Florida next weekend in Boca Deerfield at the New Life Conscious Life Expo. You can look online and find out exactly all of the information that you need. And the following weekend, the last weekend in March, we shall be in Manhattan at the New Yorker at the other New Life Expo. We finished up in Edison. Greta saw 44 people. She gave 44 free facilitations, and it was plus a workshop. So you have to come in order to get it, in order to experience Greta in the realm. So Greta, what do you have to say about this quote that was channeled to you?
I thought it was interesting. I thought about you and myself, and I thought about all the people, males and females, that are looking for mates. People will show me a picture of someone uh, that they're looking at, that they think is connecting to them. And I get to look at the pictures and read the pictures and see what the person is like. But the bottom line is, I like that part of the quote where it said, look inside yourself, know you first, you know, because a lot of people, Kathy, they just jump. They just jump. They think that they like somebody and that that person is the one for them. And then later on, as they get into the relationship, some people see it as a scam. Some people find out that it's not somebody that they really want to be with. And I think what we're talking about today, you and I, are going to be about setting up some methods that people can use to try to stay out of a loop. And
Exactly. Don't
right.
loop. If you're going to loop with, uh, you want to loop with what bring a person that brings you joy. No one that brings you, well, you can have somebody, you can loop and have someone that wants to continuously support you in kicking your butt, either physically, mentally, or emotionally, or someone that supports you in enjoying your life in a higher vibrational way, where it's company, it's companionship, they know the way around the kitchen a little bit, In other words, you bring yourself joy. But you're absolutely right, Greta. But I'm gonna tell you something. My my father was a very, very, very intelligent man, and I'll never forget him saying, people spend more time picking out a dog than they do the person they're going to spend the rest of their life with and have kids with, and
Hmm,
that has
that's
a ring of
interesting.
truth to it because they don't look at themselves; they look outward, and it's like, what kind of person attracts you? You know,
Mhm.
I've always kind of been attracted to kind of like nerds. I've never been attracted to, the football or the track star. Those kind of gentlemen. You know why? Because they seemed more. I prefer a person that's more focused on being confident in who they are. And what's important to me is to be able to be supported and loved by someone that says, "Go do you, be you." Support
Mhm.
me where with what I want to do with my life. There's some men that say, "I want you home in the kitchen. I want you doing it." No, sit no, 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 no. Now, if that's the kind of man that you want to attract to yourself, they're out there. Am I right, Greta? They're out there. But I mean,
Absolutely, absolutely.
because it all depends on what you're looking for, and that's why the first part of that quote, before searching for a mate, look inside yourself to see who you are, because they want to know who you are too. And
Mhm.
America has some challenges with people finding partners. I mean, when you look at the divorce rates and stuff in America, I was with actually till death do we part, 47 years with Bernard. 47 years, and most of our friends were divorced and married a couple of times and divorced and divorced. You know, they didn't quite make it. There's only one other couple that I can say that kind of made it.
Mhm.
Because it's because you're growing with, that person's okay the way they are, and that's really important. And even when those relationships, there are challenges, because we're always there are lessons. And one of the things that I've learned with my lessons, and I don't, pardon me if I'm rambling, is looking inward at myself and how I was relating and to, or thinking about my, the relationship that I have, and even the one that I'm in now, is like, you know it's I have to keep evaluating myself, because I can't change anyone. I can only change myself. And that's just a very important thing that I've learned. And you have to love the person unconditionally, just the way they are.
Absolutely. I know I spent years trying to get into a relationship that where I wanted to save the person from themselves. And I learned that that is not the way that I wanted to go. Um, One thing I want to say though is that about that loop, Kathy, you mentioned that loop, and see, people don't know about that loop, but what it is that you are creating to attract to yourself the same type of person over and over and over again. And when you do that, most of the time, most of the people that I've talked to about this, they haven't been successful in the relationships. They go in, they do the same thing over and over again. So one thing one method is to look at, write down the names of the people who have been significant in your life. And we're not just talking about, we're talking about any type of significant relationship that you want to have with a person. It might be same-sex relationship, it may be different sex relationship. It doesn't matter. It's that you're developing a relationship. So what do you really want? And we the first thing we look at is what is your loop? What does your loop look like? You'd be amazed. And the loop, when we start examining that loop, we start with the father. If you're female, what was your relationship with your dad? If you're male, what was your relationship with your mother predominantly? You know, um, and then with some people, it's to look at what was your relationship with both people. Sometimes it's the mother that's going to be more dominant, that we've picked up the ways of being. And so then we create relationships with individuals who are similar to the experience we had with our mothers, or we can develop an experience with someone that's similar to the experience that we had with our fathers. Like, for instance, if your father was someone who was not in the home, that divorced your mother, like Kathy was talking about, or just didn't stay, then you're going to have a propensity to get with somebody who's going to abandon you as well. I've seen that over and over again. People, male or female, will develop that, have that inside the relationships. They choose people who mirror their experience with their fathers, you
Because
see.
they go down like on a sympathetic level, especially if there's like abuse, maybe, you know. But I'm gonna tell you something. Here's what I've noticed, and and prove me wrong. Every girlfriend I ever had that watched those stories, the music plays. Why did you break up with me? Oh, you're sleeping with my best friend. They never seem to move past it. They think that if you are in a relationship, you're supposed to suffer. And that's the kind of the loop that you're supposed to have all of these challenges of infidelity and just all the things that you're talking about. But they seem to gravitate towards those soap operas. And it's like they want to emulate and live a soap opera life to me. And I remember saying to someone, why do you watch that? And then now I realize now they were actually creating what they saw on television. Is that possible? Is
Anything's
it
possible,
possible?
Kathy, because if they took a character that they liked there and they saw the character moving through life experiences, be them male or female, um, uh, they might, like I said, want to emulate them. That's what you were talking about. So
Yeah.
consequently, some people, not all, but some people can incorporate that into their lives, you know, or, the wonderful shows that always showed the relationships working on TV. When I was growing up in the 50s, they always had the mother with an apron. Her hair was straight all the time. She had on high heels and she was working in the kitchen. She was always being the best person that she could be. And I remember looking at that and but I would watch them, Kathy. I'm
I
telling you.
know you
I would
did, but
watch. I'm not even going to call the name of the shows,
you
but there were
don't have to
several
because
of
none
them.
of them look like my mother. So I know that crap wasn't real. None of them. I don't know how you can sit there and watch that stuff, Greta, and think that those
I
women that don't
enjoyed
look
it,
like you.
Kathy.
I didn't say you
I
didn't enjoy it, but
enjoyed
didn't you think that
looking
was
at it, and I think it's in keeping with what you just said because I could look at it and I could imagine myself being in a loving and caring situation like that. It's like you know what it's like? it's like going to sleep and having all these wonderful dreams, about things. And so I couldn't identify with it, but I could look and say, "Oh, I think that that would be nice to have my mom at home, my mom cooking for me, and
Your mom was at work like my mom. You were
yeah,
a latchkey kid.
right. That's what I was. I was a
You had the
latchkey
mom
kid.
more like the one in Tom and Jerry. you never you never
Perhaps,
saw her
yeah.
face, just her
Yeah,
four
because see,
fingers.
she was cooking. She was cooking. Who was cooking in my house? Me. I had to cook at 9 years old because my mother wanted to be able to eat dinner. So I was responsible for the whole meal, so that when she came in from work, the meal was there, you know. But I want to get back to
Yeah, because I was
talking
saying, how did
about the
that help you with
mate.
your yeah?
I want to get back talking about the mate. I don't want us to deviate too far out with that, but I think a mate, everybody, I haven't found, well, I have found a few people that they're happy with themselves, but they've had the experience of being with a significant other, but they've just decided that they don't want another situation. And that's because a lot of times, because the first one that they had was challenging. So they didn't want to repeat the next, another one, because there's a fear that I'm going to redo the same experience over again. Or maybe they've done it twice and they have experienced the same thing over again. So now they start operating with fear. I don't think I
But
want
they
to
don't
do
look at
this.
themselves. But they're not looking at themselves. They're looking at the person that they're having that they create to have the challenge with. And
Absolutely.
that's what we're talking. That's where we're going with this conversation, right? Because you can't
Absolutely.
change that other person that created that lesson, that challenge that you had with the person that you had that relationship with. It's you. It's not really them. They're just supporting you with how you feel about yourself, which is why the most important thing that was given is before searching for a mate, look inside yourself to see who you are. So if you are a Debbie Downer or Crabby Charlie or whatever, I mean, it's if you don't care about your appearance or if you're just an ornery person, I mean, who do you think's gonna? It's like if you don't change who you are, people are gonna treat you the way you are.
But you know what? There's also that talk about there's always someone for everyone. There,
Yeah,
there's
that's
there's
true
a
too.
person for each person. But let's get down to how do you create the person? We've said step one is to look at yourself first. I think step two is going to be to love yourself first.
Always
Because, right, always, always love
and
yourself.
more than.
Right, right. I had a lady uh, just the other day asking me, she says, "Isn't that being selfish?" I said, "Absolutely not. Absolutely not." Because see, what people don't understand, I think, Kathy, is that loving yourself is very important because that's going to determine how you create your reality. That is a significant part
Yeah.
in how are you going to create your reality if you love yourself. It's like you said, Kathy, you don't love yourself, then what are you going to get? And so those two things come first. Look at yourself, love yourself. If you're searching for a mate, you gotta love yourself because you want to bring somebody to you. You want to attract somebody to you that is going to love you. So if you don't love you, like Kathy just said, then how's that person going to love you? They're not going to be able to do that.
They're
That's
not
why
because
we have relationships where people in the relationship, either male or female, or two females or two males, it doesn't matter. One can be physically abusive to the other. But see, if they are being physically abusive to you, that's because you don't love yourself. Now, it sounds simplistic, Kathy.
But it's not.
Right. It
It's
isn't,
really
but it
not.
works. When you start dealing with you first, then it's really going to it really works. Now I see that we're coming close to break, but I want to say this before the realm comes on is suggestion. If you want, I don't care what mate you want. Do you want, I always ask people, do you want a friend? Do you want a mate? Do you want a domestic partner? Do you want a husband
Or a
or
wife.
a wife? Right. That's the first thing you got to do. You got to determine which one of these do I want because the energy is going to get out there and help you find this individual. So you got to determine who do I want? What's the difference? A friend means we go out to dinner, we go to a play, we go to the zoo, we do things together. Maybe we only see each other once a month. Mate, mate means that we go out to dinner. We don't live together. You don't live with your friend. You don't live with your mate. You see the mate when you feel like it, or he or she feels like the two of you getting together, and um, and with special benefits with there. Okay, so then you got a domestic partner. The domestic partner means you're living together, but you don't have that legal paper, you know, but you've discovered that you want to just have a certain amount of freedom, but there's a certain amount of legality that's in there with that, but you're living together with benefits. Okay, now you have a wife or a husband. That person meaning that they're going to be living with you, but they're going to be legal connections with yourselves between you, between the two of you. So it's to decide which. So that's step number three. Step number four is writing down what you want to experience. Who do you want? And I'm always telling people, Kathy, that to write it down. I am experiencing,
Creating,
creating and attracting
crafting.
a husband who, or a domestic partner who. But that's important to have that creating and attracting. Because, see, that creating, most people believe in the law of attraction. But what they don't realize that before you can attract anything, you got to create it. So that's why we suggest that you write that down or put it in your computer. I am experiencing, creating and attracting a husband or a friend or a domestic partner or a mate who. And then you add, what do you want this person to be with you? Who appreciates me as a human being, who loves me unconditionally, who brings me joy. I feel joy when I'm with that person, you know, that I am experiencing, creating, and attracting a husband who is peaceful,
Yep.
who's peaceful, who's a kind person. You want to define that person. What do you want that person to be like? I know some people, and people do 10. Some people come up with 10 things. How many? I think you did that exercise, Kathy.
Yeah, I think I came out with about 25.
Right.
And
And
then I
see,
came in with another list about that the realm suggested what I wanted to experience with the individual.
right.
Because that was very important. For example, I wanted to create and attract someone to me that understood that I'm a transformational specialist remote energy worker. And I wanted to experience with them understanding that I do facilitations, that I go to expos, and if they wanted to accompany me, they could, to support me in that. And that's what I did. That's what I created.
You know what I think is cute about the relationship that you're in? I hope you don't mind if I share it with people, but I'm going
Oh
to let you
no,
talk
no,
about
go
it.
ahead, go ahead.
That when you put in there, what was it? I want someone who will be with me. What did you say?
Accompany me to expos and stuff. Is that
No, 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 no. It was where you said you wanted somebody who would show that they care for you all the time.
oh, pay attention to me.
Right, right. So tell them what happened with that. That's a hoot.
Well, my boo, call him my boo. He pays a lot of attention to me. He calls me 4:30 in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, or sends me text, hey, 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 hey. And I'm like, what's going on? What's the matter? I but now he's understanding that he could call me at 8 and I shall answer the phone. But but you know what? I'm gonna tell you what happened. And I said, you know what? I was so blessed and lucky to have a husband for 47 years that called me every day, cared and loved me unconditionally every day. And I'm just as lucky to have found someone else, you know, to pay attention to me, you know, because it's one of the things that I wanted. But, you know, I'm modifying that because I'm changing now. And I can change that because now we're in a, 6 months in and and, you know, we're settling in. We're settling in. And it's a good thing. And it's not like, I'm just, to be honest with you, Greta, I'm enjoying the attention, but
Good.
I'm learning to channel it, and to the point where my friend is beginning to understand he doesn't have to call me at 5:30 in the morning. He can call me at 8, but he gets up at 5:30 in the morning. Kathy sleep, but then he says, "What are you doing?" I'm asleep. And he calls me. Okay, I'll call you later. Calls me at 5:15. What are you doing? I'm still asleep. 6:30. What are you sleep? I'm not getting up till 8. Oh, okay. So he calls me at 7:30. Then he was calling me at 10 of 8. But now he doesn't do that anymore. Now it's like, well, sometimes he'll slip a little bit. But he's just so anxious to know what my day is going to be like, what we're going to do for the day. He's I get breakfast. He cooks breakfast. He's in the, I'm like, wow, okay. He cooked me dinner, last night, and I'm like, oh, okay, I can get used to this, So, but it's an adjustment. And it's like me looking in me, not judging him or trying to change who he is. I can only focus on myself.
Mhm.
And I noticed that I'm everything's copacetic.
That's wonderful. I want to let people know too that there are two parts of that, and Kathy was talking about that. The first part is to define what it is that you want to experience with the person. And the second part is what do you want to experience personally yourself? Like I am experiencing joy in this relationship with my mate. And you can do that even if you're in a relationship right now where it's challenging for you, you can still define, you can redefine it. So if you change you, see, that's the important thing that Kathy was saying. If you change you and you are in a relationship that's challenging, that person, it's going to look like the person has changed. But note they have not. But what they're going to do is they're going to support you in the way that you want to be supported. So it can make the relationship, like she said, very smooth and working through everything. I think it's time for us to go on
Yes, we
break.
are going on break.
All
And with
right.
that, goodbye, Greta.
Bye.
Well, welcome back to Looking for a Mate. I know the realm is here, so I don't need to ask. Realm, do you need me to read the quote to you? And it looks like it's the happy one because I see a smile. I'll know as soon as the realm speaks. Are you here,
Yes,
realm?
yes, yes. Read it for us, Kathy.
I will be delighted to. Before searching for a mate, look inside yourself to see who you are. Next, determine what type of person would be the best fit for you. The connection is by frequency. So the energy, capital E, is helping you to locate the person that you wish to experience.
Absolutely. See, when you find a mate, it's not like happen chance. You're going to connect to people who are similar to yourselves as far as what is going on in the unconscious. And in the unconscious, sometimes there'll be parts of you that don't like yourself. So it's important to look at that first and change that and realize that you are a wonderful being. That regardless of what people have told you in the past, what your parents have told you, what a teacher at the school has told you, see yourself as a wonderful being. Because when you see yourself as a wonderful being, then everyone else is going to support you in being a wonderful being. Therefore, the person that you're going to choose as your significant other is going to relate to you in that way. But if you don't really love yourself and care about yourself, then you're going to attract someone to you who's going to show you that you don't care about yourself, that you don't love yourself, you don't see yourself wonderful. So, what we put in the quote of the first step was to, uh, look at self, admire self. Don't stand in the mirror and say, I'm too fat, nobody will like me, be it that you're a male or a female. Forget that. you know, Clarify. Second step, after you know that you're loving yourself, then as a review, then you choose what type of significant other you want to deal with. Then after that, we suggest that you write a list. Actually, write it down on paper what you want, and begin with the words, I am experiencing, creating, and attracting a mate who. I know that that sounds very long for people, but you'd be very surprised that it works well. Remember, if you believe in that, it's going to work for you. If you don't believe in it, it's a waste of your time to even do it. But it does work, and it has worked for several people. They've been finding mates, you see, because the energy which helps you to create your reality is going to go out and say, oh, this is the type of person you want. You could find somebody, and before I say what I was going to say, the dating sites are things that you can go on, but you want to move in wisdom with the dating sites. But there's nothing wrong with doing a dating site, but it's um, to really be aware when you go on there what it is you want to experience with a significant other,
And I'm
and
glad
to
you
do
said
that.
that, Realm.
Uh-huh.
I don't mean to cut
Yes,
you off because you suggested I go on the dating site, and a friend of mine suggested one. And, this was a challenging page for me to turn, you know, but it was suggested that 3 years I needed to um, find someone that I could, uh, be with again. And
absolutely.
but I didn't watch my thoughts and I didn't watch my emotions. And when I was filling it out, I said, because it was suggested I go on the dating site, and I said, "Oh Jesus Christ, oh Jesus Christ," and then I said, Greta, the only people on those sites are nut jobs, sex fiends, and con artists, and I forgot to watch my thoughts, and I'm filling it up. Oh Jesus Christ, Jesus Christ. The first guy, when I filled it out within 20 minutes, I called Greta and I said, Greta, I got a hit. And she said, ooh, well, what's he like? I said, I don't know. He's sitting in front of a twin bed. Doesn't look right. Oh, well, find out, find out. Well, I'm talking to the guy. And I said, well, I'm not religious. He said, well, you will be as soon as I tell you who I am. I said, well, who are you? He said, well, I'm Jesus Christ reincarnated. Do you see what I did, Realm? I created to bring somebody that said he was Jesus Christ to me. The second one said, I'm not into booty calls, but he tried to molest me in public. The third one turned out to be what I was afraid of. All fear, by the way, was a con artist.
Absolutely.
He wanted me to send him money. And then some, because I needed codification from friends that said to me, and you suggested I not listen to them. Oh, those dating sites, they're dangerous. Don't go on them. Oh, I haven't had much luck. And Greta said, Kathy, we are suggesting that you not listen to them. The second time I listened to you, I put all of that negativity aside and I said, I'm going to practice loving myself. And I had the 2 lists that you suggested that I made that we went through. I said them, and then I went on another list, and I've been with the person. The first day I met the person that I've been with.
Mm-hmm. See, it's going to be, let me say this. I'm glad you told the story, Kathy, because that shows fear. So when you have fear, and we've said this on the podcast several times, you get what you fear. So I'm glad you shared that because it shows how those fears that other people had told you about, um, you brought them into actualization. So fear actualizes what you fear. So if you're going to use a dating site, be positive about it, regardless of which one you use. There are different types. There's some just for seniors, there's some for military, there's some Christian sites. There are different types of sites. But the thing is, there's nothing wrong about using them. It's just know that this is what you are attracting to yourself because you have your list. You're going to look at your list, and after you create it, and uh, we know that some people have created lists that are 45 things on the list, 65 things on the list, that you begin to really hone into what it is you really want. And the one thing that you did, Kathy, was that you experienced the first person. So you definitely knew you didn't want that type of individual. So then you could add it to your list. Not saying, I don't want this. You're just saying the opposite. I am experiencing, creating, and attracting a mate who, because you weren't looking for a husband, you were not looking for a significant other, you were looking for a mate. So that was what your list concentrated on,
That is correct.
finding a mate. And then after you define what the mate is going to be like for you, then you define yourself, what it is. I'm experiencing joy with my mate. I am experiencing peace with my mate. I am experiencing traveling abroad with my mate. See, anything that you want to experience, that's what you put in there. So if I want to experience, I am experiencing, and I'm declaring that I am experiencing traveling abroad with my mate. Then what you want to have with the mate is to say, I am experiencing, creating, and attracting a mate who enjoys traveling abroad. So you see how the two fit.
Exactly. And right. And I don't mean to cut you off again, but my list was like, because my husband couldn't really spend a lot of time with me because of his job. Um, didn't cook. And so when I sat down, I thought about what would I want to experience? You know, someone that was semi-retired or retired, and my friend is someone that likes to cook, that I can cook with because I enjoy cooking, and we do, and all I want to say, Realm, is it is when you believe and when I saw what I created with my thoughts and the fear. When I went on it, because I was told very clearly, just try another website, a site. I didn't make those same mistakes. I didn't go in there with fear or worrying about attracting those other individuals. I stuck to my list. I knew I wanted a high vibrational mate. And that's who I attracted to myself. And we're still, you know, adjusting because no one's perfect. I'm not perfect. I know I'm not. So I'm still working on me. And it's okay. It's okay for me to learn and practice loving myself unconditionally every single day with my boyfriend. It's okay. And I'm enjoying it. And I'm sure the same is for him. But I can only speak for myself.
But that's good that you've explained to the audience your relationship because you can maybe you had like you and your husband had a wonderful marriage for all those years. There are some people who their first marriage was a challenge, and then they married somebody else, and that was a challenge, you know. So that's why we're suggesting write down what it is you want to experience because you're bringing it from one reality into another reality. When you're writing it down, you're beginning to bring it into actualization. And one thing that we found when we're working with people, if they don't write it down, they keep changing, changing, changing.
Yes, you
And
do.
then they don't remember because the conscious only holds so much. It's the unconscious that holds everything. So consciously, you might not remember that you wanted to have a joyful relationship or experience joy in that relationship. But if you write it down on paper, you can keep track of what you're doing.
Right. Because one of the things I definitely put down is a long-term monogamous relationship.
Absolutely.
And that was, a very important, that's because that's who I am. I'm not someone to go floating all over the place. Well, you could tell I was a one woman one what do you call it? One woman man? No, one man woman. Because I'm not one to go flirty all over the place. That's just not who I am. You have to know yourself. But I'm still learning. I've noticed, Realm, that even though I think I know myself, there's something else I don't know about myself. I'm constantly learning about myself. And I'm thankful or I'm grateful that I have someone to support me in going deeper into myself again in a different kind of a way, and
Absolutely. And see,
yeah,
the other thing about these relationships is that the relationship itself is a lesson, you see. How am I going to be in this relationship? How do I see myself in this relationship? You see, it's not selfish. It's just about you loving you. And when you love you, it provides the opportunity for the other person to love you as well. Because you see, we've given the existence protocol, which is create, support, support, create. To have a peaceful relationship, you must be peaceful. You have to be that first. So, but you're going to create because you want peace. I am experiencing creating and attracting a husband, a mate, a friend, a domestic partner who is very peaceful in nature. Then you come and you say, I am experiencing peace in this relationship with my mate, husband, domestic partner, or friend.
That's the list I had to make. That's exactly how I had to compose the two lists. The kind of person I wanted to attract to myself and what I wanted to experience with the person that I attracted.
Absolutely. Because you want to know, because, and you know what? People don't realize that they create people in their lives.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's what, because you're creating the person. You, when the person comes to you can't say to that person, okay, now I want you to love me unconditionally. It's not about the person coming that you've attracted to yourself. And you say, I want you to love me unconditionally. That's, you're working backwards. You want to work in a more forward way. So you create and attract the person who's like that in the beginning. Because when you come into the relationship, you're not going to be able to change that person.
Now, does it matter what you list first on your
No,
list?
no.
Okay.
Just to get it down on paper is what we suggest, because then you can look at it, you can tweak it, you can see if this is what I really want you
Right.
know, like you tweaked the relationship with your partner, Kathy, because he was anxious and he did exactly what you wanted. You wanted somebody to be there for you to make sure that you were okay, to show that they cared for you, and that's exactly what he did.
And
But
that's
he did
exactly
it
what
in
he
his
still
way,
does. He did it in his way. And once I
right?
realized that, I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's who he is. And so if that's what makes him, feel if that's what makes him brings him joy and makes him feel good, then I'm okay with that. You know, I just have to, it's like we are adjusting, we are compromising, we are doing anything that people do that wish to remain in a relationship, and a healthy, joyful relationship for me. Because I don't like a whole lot of people are know me gonna laugh. I don't like a whole lot of drama. you know, I had a very peaceful marriage. I really did. So I'm used to a very calm, I can go up the deep end and scratch like a chicken, but Bernard never, my husband never did. Like I would just see, oh, were you talking to me? The newspaper, you know. Uh, so I've learned I don't need to go down that path. I'm focusing on being peaceful for me.
Absolutely. So therefore, because you're focusing on that as a part of your being, then your mate is going to support you in that same way by being peaceful. Because it's always in a relationship, it's always supporting each other. Yes. So, uh, and not to get discouraged, because some people think, well, they fear that they've been in a challenging relationship and they don't want to create it again. You don't have to create it again. Create what you want on paper first. The first part of it, we're going to reiterate it again. The first part is what you want your mate to be like, friend to be like, husband to be like, domestic partner to be like. That's what you're doing first.
Oh, I have a
Then the
question. Well, I'm
second
sorry.
part is you talking about what you want to experience with this significant other.
I have a
Yeah.
question around that. Maybe we'll continue this topic next week, because what happens if you are married to someone? Well, maybe not. If you're married to someone or you've been living with someone as a domestic partner, but it's not going quite the way you want, can you change an existing relationship you're in by changing yourself?
Absolutely. And that because, Kathy, create, support, create. When you change you, the other person has got to change how they're going to be with you. And that's why we tell people, don't think that that person has changed now. It's not that that person has changed. It is that that person is supporting you differently. So that's why it really begins with you. The
Right.
ideal situation is that the one partner loves themselves unconditionally, and so does the second partner love themselves unconditionally. That means then if both of you are loving yourselves unconditionally, then the person here is going to support the person over there with unconditional love, while the person that's over here is going to support that person with unconditional love. That is the ideal situation.
But unconditional love for the audience is, they throw that phrase all around now. Oh, I love this person unconditionally. And we've talked about the 5 elements that make up unconditional love. And I must admit that I'd have to pull my paper out to go over that, because it's just not what people is. It's a
Absolutely.
lot deeper. It means you accept the person for who they are. Like,
Yes.
you know, I'm learning the person that I'm with, just like I learned, you know, my late husband, what triggers him, what doesn't trigger him, and but I can only change how I respond to it, how I react to it. And it's just it's a learning. I'm happy I'm getting the opportunity to practice loving myself unconditionally even more, and loving
Mhm.
this new person unconditionally.
Mhm.
Because I never thought I'd be able to even turn this page after 47 years to even want to be with another person on any kind of level, because my mother didn't, my grandmothers didn't, my aunts didn't, and I decided I wasn't going to take that route. I
Mhm.
decided I wasn't going to be the young widow. I decided that was not for me.
Absolutely. And see, and you can move into another relationship without the guilt as well. You don't have to have guilt that now I'm moving. You had a relationship, you had a wonderful relationship. The person is no longer here because the person has chosen to move on. You are still here. So you don't have to stay in sorrow, in pain, in grieving forever. Because as they say here, humans say life must go on, you see.
Mhm.
So it's to still love yourself and relish. Notice that we say relish in your beingness. That is the wonder of being human.
And you know
Is
what,
to be,
Realm? Yep.
yes,
And I'm going to end with this. When you're looking for a mate, look for yourself first. Look and see who you are. Well, that's it, folks. Realm, can Greta come back? Of course she can.
yes,
Well, we shall, until we create to see each other again. I'll plant you now and dig you later.
yep. Bye, everybody.
Once again, thanks for joining us at Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings on TransformationTalkRadio.com. As you have explored today's creation of reality experience with the realm and me, Greta, each of you is being supported by us in further developing the understanding that you are not just an individual existing in linear time and space, but a multi-dimensional force of infinite possibilities who is connected to all. So begin to create the realities you want Join us every Friday at 8 a.m. Pacific Time and 11 a.m. Eastern Time on Shifting Impressions at transformationtalkradio.com. So long until we create each other again next Friday.